On the morning of Sunday, December 7th, 1941, shortly before 8 a.m., Japan launched a surprise attack on the United States, bombing the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor. Over 350 Japanese aircraft descended on the base, bombing and strafing American ships, planes, and installations. In just 75 minutes, the Japanese Navy would land a significant blow against the American Navy, destroying or damaging nearly 20 vessels, including 8 battleships. Among the battleships targeted that day, perhaps none is more famous than the USS Arizona. A symbol of American military might, the battleship had served in the United States Navy for 25 years, since the mid-19-teens, spending time in both the Atlantic and Pacific Fleet. This is the story of the USS Arizona and her fateful last day on December 7, 1941. USS Arizona was designed as a standard-type battleship, being ordered on March 4, 1913. Named in honor of the 48th state to join the United States, she was the second and last Pennsylvania-class battleship built along with her sister ship, USS Pennsylvania. With an overall length of 608 feet, a beam of 97 feet, and a draft of 29 feet 8 inches, the design was 25 feet longer and 4,000 long tons heavier than previous class battleships. She was powered by 12 Babcock and Wilcox boilers that powered 4 direct Parsons steam turbine sets. The turbines produced a total of 33,376 shaft horsepower, giving the ship a top speed of 21 knots and a range of 8,000 nautical miles at 12 knots. Armament for the Arizona included 12 45 caliber 14-inch guns in 4 triple mount turrets as the main guns, 22 51 caliber 5-inch guns mounted in individual mounts along the sides of the hull, 4 50 caliber 3-inch guns, and 2 21-inch torpedo tubes with a max carrying capacity of 24 torpedoes. Armor for the battleship included a waterline armor belt measuring 13.5 inches thick and covering the ship's machinery spaces and magazines, a bulkhead at each end of the ship ranging from 8 to 13 inches thick, armor plating for her main turrets and 5-inch guns, and a 3-inch armored deck. The keel of the USS Arizona was laid down on the morning of March 16, 1914, with then Assistant Secretary of the Navy and future President Franklin Delano Roosevelt in attendance. She was launched on June 15, 1915, taking about 15 months from keel laying to launch. An estimated 75,000 people attended the launch, where Esther Ross, the daughter of W. W. Ross of Prescott, Arizona, was given the honor of christening the ship. Due to the recent passing of the 18th Amendment banning alcohol in the United States, the state's governor decided that 2 bottles would be used, one full of sparkling wine from Iowa and another filled with water from the Roosevelt Dam. She was commissioned into the Navy on October 17, 1916, and departed New York on November 10th for sea trials. During World War I, Arizona was used as a gunnery training ship for the crewmen on armed merchant vessels crossing the Atlantic. She periodically ventured into the open ocean during the war, but due to fear of German U-boats, she only did so with a company of other battleships and escort ships. The fighting ended on November 11, 1918, and a week later, Arizona left the United States for the United Kingdom, arriving on November 30th. While in Europe, she joined 9 battleships and 28 destroyers and escorting President Woodrow Wilson on his journey to the Paris Peace Conference. The interwar period would see her transferred to the Pacific Fleet and used mostly as a training vessel for crews. In January 1929, Arizona was modernized at the Norfolk Navy Yard. She would see a second overhaul and modernization at the Puget Sound Navy Yard in Birmingham, Washington, from October 1940 to January 1941. On October 22, 1941, during an exercise taking place in heavy fog, Arizona was hit in the bow by the USS Oklahoma. Due to the accident, Arizona missed a scheduled overhaul at the Birmingham Navy Yard and was required to be dry docked at Pearl Harbor for repairs. Her last mission was a night firing exercise on the night of December 4th as part of a Battleship Division I training session, alongside USS Nevada and USS Oklahoma. All 3 ships would be moored alongside Ford Island on December 5th. On November 26, 1941, a Japanese task force of 6 aircraft carriers, being the Akagi, Kagi, Soryu, Hiryu, Shikaku, and Zukaku, departed from the Kuril Islands en route to a position northwest of Hawaii. They sailed northeast, then east across the northern Pacific, deliberately choosing a route that kept them far away from regular shipping lanes and land-based reconnaissance. The fleet observed strict radio silence throughout the journey, maintaining communication via light signals. By December 6th, the task force was positioned about 230 miles north of Oahu. Shortly before 8 a.m. local time, the first group of Japanese attackers, consisting of 89 planes, descended on the American base. The Arizona's air raid alarm went off at 7:55 a.m., and the ship quickly went into general quarters. Shortly after 8 a.m., 10 Nakajima B-5N2 Cape torpedo bombers attacked Arizona. Carrying armor-piercing shells, 4 aircraft scored direct hits on the Arizona. The sternmost bomb ricocheted off turret number 4 and penetrated the deck before detonating. The next forwardmost bomb detonated in the area of the anti-torpedo bulkhead. The third bomb near the port rear 5-inch AA guns. The last bomb hit at 8:06 a.m., likely penetrating the forward magazine. About 7 seconds after the hit, munitions and fuel ignited, creating a massive explosion that reportedly lifted the battleship out of the water. The blast caused a massive fireball and sent debris flying in all directions. Within minutes, the ship sank to the bottom of the harbor. Just 75 minutes after the first bombs fell, the attack on Pearl Harbor was over. 2,403 Americans would die that day, including 1,177 from the Arizona. 7 ships would be sunk, 11 would experience moderate to severe damage, and a further 15 ships were lightly damaged. 3 vessels, the Arizona, Oklahoma, and Utah, were damaged beyond repair, being marked as complete losses. The following day, President Roosevelt formally requested a declaration of war in his Day of Infamy speech, addressing to a joint session of Congress and the nation at 12:30 p.m. The declaration was passed by the Senate with a vote of 82-0 and the House of Representatives with a vote of 388-1. The first woman elected to Congress, Jeanette Rankin, cast the only vote against the declaration, stating, "As a woman, I can't go to war, and I refuse to send anyone else." The joint resolution for war was stated as the following: declaring that a state of war exists between the Imperial Government of Japan and the Government of the People of the United States, and making provisions to prosecute the same. Whereas the Imperial Government of Japan has committed unprovoked acts of war against the government and the people of the United States of America, therefore be it resolved by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled, that a state of war between the United States and the Imperial Government of Japan, which has thus been thrust upon the United States, is hereby formally declared, and the President is hereby authorized and directed to employ the entire naval and military forces of the United States and the resources of the government to carry out a war against the Imperial Government of Japan and to bring the conflict to a successful termination. All the resources of the country are hereby pledged by the Congress of the United States. 3 days later, Adolf Hitler would declare war on the United States, officially marking the day that the United States would enter the Second World War. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed stories about military history. Also, please tell me in the comments what World War II ship you would like to learn about next. Thanks for watching.